Hey everybody, what's up? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Anthony Robles is here. Unstoppable is his brand new movie on Prime Video, January 16th. What's up, man? How are you?
How I'm doing? I'm going well. Thank you for having me.
So you have a remarkable story. People remember you winning an NCAA championship, but now we get the movie treatment. You wrote the book. Ben Affleck and the team come in. It's coming to Prime Video. J-Lo's in the movie. Don Cheadle. How surreal is it to see your life story told in a movie like this?
It still blows my mind. Every day I'm waking up, I'm seeing the promotions and the commercials, and it's an honor, you know. But for me, what's most amazing is that it's such an all-star cast, but also they just cared so much about telling my story in an authentic way that really meant a lot to me and my family. So I could not be prouder.
So what was it about the pitch from Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, their team to say, Anthony, trust us with the story? What convinced you that they would do the job?
It was just them being so genuine, just meeting me and looking me in the eye and saying, no, we're going to make you proud of this story. If there's anything you don't like, let us know and we'll change it. And really from start to finish, beginning with the first script, we were included. Our thoughts were included as a family. And so they just merely just made us feel at ease knowing that we were in good hands and that this was going to be something at the end of it that we could recognize as it being our story and my story.
So you always dreamed about being a wrestler, but did you ever dream about being a movie producer and have a movie made about your life, man? That's pretty crazy.
Never in my wildest dreams. You know, my goal was always just to be a national champ, but I was just so blessed to have these opportunities come afterwards. And really for me, it was never about the attention, you know, to make this film. It was just about inspiring people because there are so many people along my journey, like my coaches, like my mom, who helped me over speed bumps or over things that I was wrestling in my life. I just wanted to be able to do that for others out there in the world. And with this film, it's going to do that on a whole other stage. So I'm very grateful.
So speaking of your mom, Judy, J-Lo plays your mom in the movie. She wore the beanie that she would wear to your competitions, the jackets. She really got into it. What was it like seeing her bring your mom to life?
That was extremely special, you know, because everyone knows who Jennifer Lopez is, and but Jennifer really cared about telling my mom's story in an authentic way and getting those little details down. So she spent so much time with my mom, just getting to know her, her mannerisms, asking me about my mom, and also just down to the things that my mom actually wore when I was competing, with the beanie, with the t-shirts. And it was funny because I remember being on set and I just saw someone walking by and I thought it was my mom. It was Jennifer wearing my mom's wrestling gear. But my mom, she has an amazing story of her own, separate from me. And so to see that told on the stage where people are going to know who my hero is and where she came from, that's very special, and it's an honor for me to see that.
It's a beautiful story. So you're born without your right leg, you want to be a wrestler, you make it happen, but you had this confidence and you found a way to make it happen. So where did that confidence come from? When you were a young kid, people were focusing on what you don't have, but you were focused on what you did have. So where did that mindset first start for you?
That came from my mom. Because I remember my mom told me when I was born, basically the doctors told me and my mom what I wouldn't be able to do all my life when I was a kid. But my mom chose not to think that way. She said, no, we're going to focus on what you're capable of. And she taught me to see my life as a puzzle. There was nothing that I couldn't do. It was all about how can I do it? How can I shift the pieces around to work in my favor? And so my mom, she encouraged me throughout my life to set goals for myself, to define what I was capable of. And when I got into sports, she was always there saying, you can do it. And when I got into wrestling, it made her really nervous. But she knew that, you know, for me, it was all about finding my own way in life. And I'm just grateful to her for just allowing me to experience some setbacks sometimes. But it also, you know, those challenges, it made me stronger and it made me really feel that I could do anything because it made me motivated to overachieve.
So when you're a kid, you try a lot of different things, right? Mm-hmm. When does wrestling first come into the picture? And when did you know, like, I'm that guy, I could really do this thing?
So wrestling, it first came into the picture when I was 14 years old. It was right before I started my freshman year of high school. And my cousin took me to a wrestling practice. I remember going there and I got my butt kicked. I got thrown around the room, but I walked away with the biggest smile on my face. And I think what I loved about the sport from the get-go was the one-on-one aspect of it. You know, it allowed me to control that narrative of my life. Everyone was going to be looking at me no matter what. Sure. But now, wrestling allowed me to force those people to focus on what I had, what I was capable of. And I think it took a little bit for me to figure it out, but by my sophomore, junior year, I really had the wrestling bug to where I said, okay, I can actually do this. I can compete at a high level. And that was my only goal and only focus from there on out. And
in the movie, people see this and folks that know your story, but you were very successful as a high school wrestler. You wanted to wrestle with the best of the best. You had full rides that you turned down. You wanted to be at Arizona State or Iowa or one of those top schools. So just walk us through that mindset and how hard it was, just given the way you grew up with your family, like, I'm going to pass up this full ride to go for the biggest and best school in the country here.
Yeah, so I remember my senior year, I'm sitting there and trying to figure out what my options were. And I had received some scholarship offers from some Division II, Division III schools, not much from the Division I's because, you know, they saw what I was missing. They saw for what would hold me back. But, you know, Arizona State and Iowa, they were my top two choices. And Iowa wasn't looking at me. They had a full room of tough studs in my weight class. And Arizona State was in my hometown, but they also had a few guys in my weight class. So I didn't receive the wrestling scholarship to come out. But what kept me home and what made me decide to pass on the scholarship offers that I did get from the D2 schools was my strength came from my family. It's always been my faith in my family. And I wanted to be there around my family to just be motivated by them and also just motivate them, because we were going through some challenges. We were wrestling with things off the mat in our lives, and we needed to lean on each other. And so that ultimately is what made me stay and convinced me to stay in Arizona to go to ASU, was my family and just wanting to be around them to support them.
So before you become a national champion, you have to work your way through the whole program, become one of the guys. What were the toughest challenges for you at that point?
I'd say the toughest challenges for me, it was just earning my teammates' respect and showing them that I would do everything that they were going to do. That I wouldn't take the easy way out. That I wouldn't say, I can't do it because I'm on crutches, because I'm missing my leg. And I remember when I stepped in the room for the first time with the college guys, with ASU, everyone kind of looked at me and they're like, okay, is he serious? Can he compete with us? Can he, are we going to hurt him? And so for me, stepping out there, it was about showing them, hey, I'm here with you. I'm right there with you. And so one of the most memorable moments was climbing that peak. And my coach gave me the option to sit out of it, but again, I wanted to show them I'd be there. And I remember going up there are a number of times where mentally I just felt like breaking down. And physically I was just bloodied and beat, but I was just focused on one step at a time.
And people will see that in the movie. Was that one of the hardest days of your life?
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And that's something, honestly, I look back to even now when I'm going through life challenges, just thinking about that moment and how I got through it. And really, it's just about taking that one step in front of you, right? It's about just focusing on one thing at a time and just breaking it down little by little. So that moment for me, it always stands out.
So it all leads to 2011, where you are undefeated, you win the national championship, you capture the hearts of Americans and people all over the world. What was that experience like for you, and what don't we talk about enough when it comes to that part of your story?
I remember that moment, and there's 20,000 people in that arena, and I think what people don't talk about the most is I was terrified.
Really?
I was so scared running down that carpet. But I just remember when I got down and I got onto that final platform on that mat, and my eyes were darting all over the place, and what calmed me down, it was looking up in the crowd and really just focusing on my mom, my siblings, and my high school coach was up there, and I call those people my voices in the crowd, the ones that believed in me when no one else did. And that's what got me through that match, just saying, I'm going to win this for them. I got this because of them. I can do this.
So there have been other athletes who've had their stories told, but not many people get to be the body double for the main actor. So you got to get back on the mat. You got to do it again. How excited were you to just do it all over again?
I remember getting that phone call from our director, Billy Goldenberg, and I was just so excited. I was like, I get something to train for again. And I took it 100% seriously, like I was competing. I dropped about 10 pounds, got into cardio shape, conditioning shape, and but that was just so much fun being able to create the wrestling choreography with Jharrel. And they also brought in my former assistant wrestling coach, Brian Stith, to help develop the wrestling scenes. All the actors in the film for the wrestling were former Division I wrestlers. So really what you're seeing is wrestling at 100% intensity. We went out there full blast, and we called it a violent dance. We knew we were going, but it was still 100% to get there and just fighting back and forth. So to see the finished product and knowing I had a hand in that, I'm very proud, and I know we call it the wrestling community. I know the wrestling community is proud of what's going to be shown too.
They're going to be incredibly hyped to watch this movie. Let's talk about Jharrel Jerome, because he did a phenomenal job portraying you. What was it like to get to know him, and what did you make of what he did on the screen?
I couldn't be prouder of Jharrel. I mean, he captured my story from my eyes, and he was just able to say exactly what I was thinking, but I couldn't say it at the time. And Jharrel and I, we actually initially met back in 2019.
Really?
And so we were able to just to develop this natural friendship. And going into this process, I was a little bit reserved, just knowing that I would have to open up about the painful moments and the discomfort that I went through. But Jharrel, when I first met him, he just made me really feel at ease. He didn't just come at me with a bunch of questions. He just got to know me, and we got to know each other as friends. So where naturally, I just was able to open up about things. And Jharrel, he really focused on the little details that maybe me when I wasn't even looking, when I didn't even notice it. I'm talking with my family, I'm hanging out with my friends, and he's just watching from the corner. And he captured that on the screen. And I remember just sitting down for the first time watching the finished product with my mom on one side and my wife on the other. And I walked away from that showing just with bruised ribs, because they were both elbowing me saying, that's you right there. He nailed all the little things that make you you. And I'm just grateful to Jharrel for doing that.
What did you learn about yourself throughout this whole process?
I'd say the thing that I learned about myself is that I'm blessed. I think that's something we overlook at times in life. I know it is. It's like we're always looking for the next goal, the next thing. And when we're going through a challenge, we're just focused on the challenge and what's difficult. And when I went through my life, when I was going through those challenges that people get to see now, that's what I was focused on, was the hard times. But now I've been able to look back and see the special people that were brought in my life at certain moments, the sport that was brought into my life at a special moment. I just realized how blessed I am to have those opportunities and to be here today. And I'm just grateful to have experienced the challenges because they've made me stronger and they've given me the blessings I have today.
So you mentioned you have a lot of great coaches. You get to coach now, and you get to be that guy for kids. What has that been like for you so far?
It's an honor. I'm excited to be a high school wrestling coach now, and for me, I approach it with the same mentality and mindset that I did as a competitor. I would go into a competition thinking, okay, how can I beat this opponent specifically, right? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Now, as a coach, I approach my wrestlers, my young men and women the same way. I say, okay, how can I motivate this kid? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Where are they at mentally? And for me, it's all about just motivating them, not just on the wrestling mat, but in their life. Just showing them lessons that they can take and apply to help them become unstoppable in their lives. And I'm just blessed to have this position to do that now.
College sports have changed a lot since you were in college. NIL is a big thing. Do you ever let your mind wander to think, how much would I have made with NIL? Have you thought about that?
Oh, yeah. I joke with my mom sometimes, like, I came out the wrong years because it's different
if
opportunities.
Only, right?
Yeah, if only. But, I'm blessed. I think it's distractions too these days. But, for me, it was always just about the one thing of being the best, in my sport. So, I think I came out at the right time for me to stay focused on what was most important, and that was getting my arm raised.
So you are an inspiring person, an athlete for many people. Who were the inspiring athletes when you were growing up? Who did you look to as the motivation?
I'd say there's two people. The athlete, his name's Cale Sanderson. He's the Penn State wrestling coach now, head coach, who, they've had over a decade of team national wrestling titles. He's the only wrestler in college history to go undefeated all 4 years of college. But for me, what really stood out about him was not only was he this amazing athlete and champion, he was just so humble about it. I remember meeting him at a tournament after my freshman year of high school, and he took the time to sign my poster, but he took the time to talk to me afterwards and motivate me and give me some tips. And that, to me, it just made all the difference. And that, to me, is what a true champion is. It's not about just realizing your goal and your expectations. It's about helping others along the way too. And he did that for me, and he's doing that at the college level. And that's why I'm just trying to model myself as a coach, just like he is.
And who was the second person that you were thinking of there? Anybody else?
Second person, it's 100% my mom. My mom, she was my hero. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I just remember just certain moments when I was even on the wrestling mat, when things weren't going my way, I was just getting beat up and time was winding down the clock. I was looking up at the crowd certain moments, and I'd see my mom, and she just gave me a nod, and say, "You got this." And she's just done that pretty much every single day of my life. Now that I'm a dad, I still look to her, and she said, "You got this. You can do this." So.
What's it like being a parent now? How many kids do you have? What's the scenario at home?
So I'm blessed to be a dad to a 2-year-old son. His name's Abel.
Nice.
And I love it. I'm just trying to just teach him the lessons that my mom taught me along the way. And, really, it's the way I see it, it's like life is a wrestling match. He's going to go through it, and I'm just his coach in his corner, and I'm just going to be there to motivate him and believe in him like my mom did for me. But I love it.
Is Abel already making moves? Is he going to be a future wrestler? Is that just 100% guarantee?
He's showing potential. I got him a little throwing dummy for Christmas, and he's already throwing it. So I'm like, yes, we got some potential there. So.
That's incredible. So when people check this movie out, what is the one thing you want them to walk away thinking?
I want people to walk away just thinking, I can be unstoppable. That word, it applies to everyone if they have the courage to grasp it. And to me, unstoppable means that, it's not that you don't wrestle a challenge. You're going to wrestle something in life. It can be physical, it can be mental, just life is a challenge. But it's all about what you focus on. What is your mentality as you're wrestling through life? Are you focused on what you don't have, on what you can't do? Or you focus on your opportunities, on your blessings and your strengths? Because if you can focus on that, you can be unstoppable. You just have to take it one day at a time. And that's what I want people to walk away with, just knowing I can be unstoppable too.
Well, you are unstoppable, my friend. Anthony, thanks a lot, man. Great to meet you. The movie comes out January 16th, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.